Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm just going to spit out another one of those no bullshit videos for you guys. And this is a word that has started to eat at me lately. It's a word I used a few times early on online when I first got into the YouTube thing, and then I started realizing it is really a bullshit word. And it's something a lot of us kind of laugh about and make fun of. Other guys I know, some people who are coaches, a number of experts, other people that I talk with, a lot of us joke about that word optimal. And I saw Alex Viada, who I'm friends with, big fan of his work, on his Facebook page make a poke at people using that word optimal. And he's absolutely right. And a lot of us realize this, and a lot of coaches and people who work with real athletes hate that term optimal because you hear it all the time in this industry. This is the optimal rep range for whatever goal. This is the optimal volume. This is the optimal training frequency. Optimal amount of protein for you to recomposition on, the optimal amount of protein to build muscle, optimal amount of fat for hormone balance, optimal meal timing, optimal timing for your post-workout recovery shake. People throw that term optimal around, and 9 times out of 10, when someone throws that word optimal, it is a sales pitch. And when you really look at it, what it means is, I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about, but if I throw that word optimal in there as part of the sales pitch, it's going to sound good and somebody's going to believe what the fuck I'm saying. And the reality is they then proceed to spit out a bunch of bullshit. The truth is, on all of these things, you will never find optimal, because optimal is going to vary based upon individual genetics. It's going to vary depending on where you are in your current training and adaptations, because you can't tell me that a given rep range is going to give you the optimal maximum strength or optimal hypertrophy next month, the one that gave you the one the previous month, because your body has adapted to certain things. You, not only your genetics come into play, but how you have adapted to previous training in the weeks and months before it will affect those things. The same with protein and things. You're never going to find an optimal amount, because everything that you do is give and take. If you add something in, you've got to take something else away, or you make some sacrifice. In other words, if you add a bunch more protein in or take protein away, unless your calories are going to go up and down, you're going to have to change carbs or fat. And there's going to be some trade-off somewhere, either in body fat gains or something else. There's always a trade-off. There is no optimal. It's oftentimes more of a balancing act. And so when people are trying to sell you something as optimal, they don't know what the fuck optimal is. You don't know what optimal is. I don't know what optimal is. All that we can do when we're dealing with sports nutrition or sports sciences when helping an athlete reach their goals is, can we balance things well, and can those factors that we're looking for be pretty good? Sometimes even great, but if you can consistently have all of those different factors consistently at any given time, all pretty good, not optimal, not even great, but pretty good 100% of the time, consistently, you're going to have a champion. You're going to build a champion athlete. You're going to build a champion bodybuilder. Or you're going to build a person who, even if they're a recreational trainee, they're going to be way, way ahead of the curve. All you're looking for is, can we balance everything together and keep everything pretty good? If you can do that consistently, you're good to go. And it comes down to that 80-20 rule that I talk about all the time, of people spend 80% of their efforts worrying about the things that only give them 20% of their goals. Or the 90-10, they spend 90% of their time worrying about things that only affect 10% of their results, instead of focusing on the main things that are give them the results, and focusing on those basic things that will get the job done, that get them 90% of where they need to be. And what happens is that people run into paralysis by analysis. They spend all this time looking for optimal as though they will ever find it. The odds are 1,000,000 to 1 against them. And they won't even know if they found it, because you can't tell the difference between 90 and 100%. Most of the time, it's not something that you can see visibly or measure yourself from your day-to-day changes or your changes in muscle mass or strength. You can't tell them apart. So if you do find it, you'll never know that you actually did. Someone throws that word optimal out there, that is a sales pitch. So from now on, when you guys see that, I want that red flag to go up, and I want you to step back and look at what they're saying a little more critically, and see if they're just bullshitting you with a sales pitch, and they use that word optimal because it gets attention. It draws you in and says, aha, maybe this person knows the truth. And the reality is none of us know the full truth. There's a large margin for error and there are large variations, and these are not exact sciences in this point in our current technology and knowledge of the human body. We're just trying to get pretty close and pretty good all the time. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Mount Bicephalus.